meditation is in two parts, basically. The first part is stabilization, 止. The second part is introspection, which is 观. We say 观, 止, 观. The stabilization includes three aspects of it. The counting. Second is following. Third is calming down or stabilization. And then the introspection part contains three aspects too: introspection, turning, and purification. So we've been talking about introspection. During the whole process, introspection is always in there. Whether you are doing samatha, which is stabilization, or introspection. Introspection is always there. Introspection is to contemplate within with concepts. So we need to know a lot of concepts in order to introspect. And we've been saying that there are so many concepts in the Buddhist teaching, immeasurable. You know, and the 49 years of the Buddhist teaching is all summarized in the three canons. It is so immeasurable, but we have to pick the crucial ones, the most important ones, and then we use them as objects of introspection. And we already have talked about a few of these, and last time we were at the Noble Eightfold Ways. Right perspective, right orientation, right speech, right action, right lifestyle, right efforts, and right introspection. Finally, the eighth one is right mental equilibrium. And I'm putting the Sanskrit and the Chinese translation by the side. The right perspective and right orientation pertains to wisdom, the wisdom part. So, in order to start, we need the right understanding, the right perspective of it. We talked about that already. And the right orientation is, given the right perspective, we set up our objective in achieving orientation. We must orientate ourselves into the right direction, and that pertains to wisdom. Once we have that, then we start to change. We start to have a paradigm shift. And this paradigm shift leads us to the right speech, right action, and right lifestyle. And that pertains to morality part. Right effort, right introspection, and right mental equilibrium pertains to the meditation part of it, jhana, sila, and panna. That's what we've been talking about. Last time we stopped at right lifestyle. And also, as we have already talked about right lifestyle for a while. And let's continue with it. Right lifestyle means that one should abstain from making one's living through a profession that brings harm to others, such as slaughtering animals for profit, slaughterhouses, trading in arms and lethal weapons, intoxicating materials or drinks, and cheating, promoting sexual misconduct, etc. One should live a harmonious lifestyle which is unselfish, honest, compassionate, and tolerant way of living that is helpful but not harmful to anyone in the world. So sometimes people ask, what is right and what is wrong? The standard of right and wrong is different in different societies. Yes, that's true, but what is right, if we generalize it, is whatever is not harmful to anyone in the world, whatever is helpful, that would be right. Anything that is harmful to others, killing, lying, sexual misconduct, cheating, many acts or deeds that are harmful to others would not be considered as good, would be considered as bad, but in order to generalize it. We can only generalize for now because every specific act, every speech is a little different. But suffice it to say that if it is not harmful, it is helpful, it would be good. That's how we generalize the standard of good and bad. Some people like to argue about good and bad. In some society, sexual misconduct is acceptable. It's even favorable. It depends on whether the sexual misconduct whether it brings harm to others or not. So practicing sila, which is avoiding bad, and bhatta, doing good, is the foundation of being a good person. A good person is to avoid bad and doing good. More than just avoiding bad and doing good, more than that, you still need to develop your mental discipline to achieve enlightenment. And to achieve this, you have to go on to the next 3 Eightfold Ways. The following 3 Eightfold Ways, which is right effort, right introspection, and right mental equilibrium. That is a gatha or a poem in the Chinese language is 诸恶莫作，众善奉行，自尽其意，是诸佛教。诸恶莫作, avoiding bad. Don't do anything bad. What is Buddhism? What is Buddhism? To summarize it very generally is avoiding bad deeds, bad speech, bad thought, avoiding that. But that's just passive. You still have to actively doing good. Avoiding doing bad is just passive. But in addition to just being passive, you have to be actively encouraging and actually doing good acts, good speech. So that's the foundation of being a good person. If anybody asks, what's the definition of a good person? The definition of a good person is that good person should be avoiding bad deeds that are harmful to others and encouraging and doing good deeds that are helpful to others. But that's not enough, according to the Buddha. That's just being a good person. You still have to develop a kind of discipline to achieve a mental enlightenment. You still have to develop mental discipline, which is purification of the mind, not just doing good and avoiding bad. And such a kind of mental equilibrium to achieve enlightenment would be involved with the following 3 Eightfold Ways: right effort, right introspection, and right mental equilibrium. Let's explore into that. What is right effort? In the Pali language, is sama, vayama, zheng, jin, jin. Right effort. This comprises 4 parts. Right efforts comprises 4 parts. The first part is prevention. Prevention is to prevent evil and unwholesome states of mind from arising. This is guarding the senses. Because our senses are always reacting to externalities. When our senses, the eyes, the ears, the nose, the tongue, etc., all our senses, when our senses are reacting, are interacting with externalities, emotions come out. All kinds of emotions, like anger, hatred, jealousy, anxiety, worry, depression. It's because our senses interact with externalities. Other than senses interacting with externalities, our mind also interacting too with externalities. And more than just with the present externalities, our mind also interacts with past externalities. In other words, we could remember last year's tragedy, last year's unhappiness, and bring the unhappiness to the present situation now and think about it and ponder on it and feel sad about it. That's what we call depression. You don't necessarily have to see something that would be depressing. You just brought, your tendency is, we like to bring past suffering, past experiences onto the present and to attach to it. That's what we call depression, anxiety, worry, and fear. Our mind interact with memories, with memory images, and bring out all these emotions. So, prevention, to prevent evil and unwholesome states of mind from arising, this is guarding the senses. We always have to train ourselves in guarding our senses and not to be affected by externalities. Externalities outside, externalities in our mind, which is still outside our contemplative ability. Externalities is not just outside. Externalities are also involved with memories and images in our mind. Externalities that relate to the past years, that's yesterday or years before. And sometimes we create future externalities and attach to them. We call that worries, anxieties of the future, worries of the future. We create them in our mind. They haven't come yet, but we like to create all these worries, all these anxieties, put it in our mind and think about it and get suffering about it and being sad about it. That's what we habitually do, which bring a lot of unhappiness to us, which bring a lot of suffering to us. The Buddha told us that we have to develop mental discipline to achieve enlightenment, to get rid of these things. Not about just blind faith of the Buddha, about how you can develop your own ability to fence off all these sufferings and unhappiness. So elimination, the next one is elimination. To eliminate such evil and unwholesome states of mind that have already arisen, this is letting go of emotions by withdrawing our attention from memory images and calming our mind. Now the first one, prevention, is not to let unwholesome states of mind coming up, guarding the senses, not to let a bad thought coming up, prevent. The second one is to actually eliminate those thoughts. There's a higher level, which is quite difficult to do. Such elimination can only be achieved by practicing the next two steps, cultivation and maintenance. There are 4 steps: prevention, elimination, cultivation, and maintenance. What is cultivation? Let's get to the next one. What is cultivation? To produce, to cause, to arise wholesome states of mind. States of mind is thinking, thoughts, not yet arising. It is the cultivation of calm introspection, unaffected by emotions. Cultivation involves the 7 steps to awakening. So we need the 7 steps of awakening in order to cultivate. And the 7 steps to awakening involves a lot of practice, and we need to deal with it in detail. So we have to start with cultivation and examine the 7 steps to awakening. We have to deal with it in detail. Before we deal with it in detail, we have learned that we need to prevent. We must have an objective to eliminate. We must have the drive to cultivate. In practice, in practical world, how can we explain this? Just using an example. Say, for example, if a thought comes up, a thought of anxiety, a thought of depression comes up in the mind. That happens to everybody. All of a sudden today, I feel depressed. I feel bad. I feel sorrowful. I suffer. I have anxiety. I have fear. And sometimes I have anger. All this is a mixture. Depression is a mixture of all these emotions. Sometimes in one day, your sadness could overwhelm your anger, or sometimes your anger could overwhelm your sadness. Which degree is higher? It depends on the weather, depends on what comes up. So a thought of depression arises in your mind. Now, how do you use this, what we have learned in here in cultivation, to prevent it, to eliminate it, and to cultivate steps to ease our mind? Simply put, how to ease our mind. So when a thought comes up, a thought of depression comes up, what do we do? Should we just take medicine to suppress it? Medicine is not healing you from the roots, it's just to cut the branches. All the roots are rotten, you cut the branches. Does it help? You just cut the branch. You need to eliminate from the root level all the bad roots, eliminate them. So a thought of depression arises in the mind. What do you do in the second step? Immediately, you're aware of the arising of such thought. Oh, my depression arises now. I feel sad. I feel overwhelmed by sadness. I feel worried. I have feared. So you must realize that. You must be aware of the arising of such thought. Then you know it arises in you. Then what do? Distance yourself away from it. Don't follow the thought. Whisper to yourself, this is a thought of depression that is overwhelming me now. I must not be buried by it. I'll let it go away. You must have that thought, that you are a third person looking at the depression, looking at that person that is you who is suffering from depression. But that's difficult. If you're in depression, how can you drop the depression? If I can drop my feeling of depression, then I'm not depressed. So I'm in it. How can I get rid of it? There's no way I can get rid of it. What do? You just realize that you are in depression, and you try to keep silent. You try to still your mind by saying, okay, that depression has become my habit, my friend. I just allowed it to stay, but I know he's by my side. I have to let it, I can't get it away, but I have to be friend with it. I don't want to reject it. I don't want to hate it. I don't love it, but it comes. I just live with it. I just still my mind, keep silent. I don't want to reject it. I don't want to hate it. I don't want to accept it though. I just let it be there. Can you do that? Very difficult. Don't think that you can tell a depressed person and say, drop that idea, it's not good for you, drop that idea. He cannot drop it. He cannot. If you have a hot object, a metal bar that is hot, you put your finger to it, you feel hot. You feel hot if somebody say, can you drop that heat feeling? I can't because it's hot. How can I drop that burning feeling? Right at that moment, I cannot drop it. Yeah, you feel it. You feel sorrowful. You feel depressed. Just feel it. Don't hate it. Just feel it. And you learn slowly that this is just a thought. Now these thoughts makes me uncomfortable. My heartbeat is beating fast. I feel sorry. I feel worried. I feel depressive. I feel anger in me. Take a deep breath and relax yourself. I have that feeling, but I know I have that feeling. This is just a thought. This is just a feeling. This is not real. This is just a feeling, but this sadness is not real. It's just a feeling. This is just a conditional feeling. And I materialize this feeling, and I think this feeling is true. This feeling is just a feeling that would go away somehow. Maybe 1 hour later, maybe 1 day later, 2 days later, 3 days later, but it will subside and will come back again. A feeling of depression is not linger on for your whole life. Same as the weather. Every day is a little different. Some days you suffer more, some days you suffer less. But just befriend with it and feel it. Just keep silent and feel it. Don't reject it. Just know that there's a thought in there. And that's it. And then, if you have this feeling of depression, some people take to do something else to divert the attention away. Generally, there are two ways to divert your attention away. One is to involve in, say, drinking, alcoholic, or going out partying, looking at a video, do something that I don't know, sports. Some people even, I don't have interest in sports when I'm depressed, but you really want to involve in something else. And some people do it in another way, spiritually. They want to chant, they want to meditate, they want to do all kinds of deeds that is spiritual. As you go further, you will understand that when you are depressed, if you are doing something that for example, it's watching a video, a movies, then it may direct your attention away. But that action involves a lower frequency. And this action of chanting, prostrating, spewing about spiritually requires a higher frequency. And most people who are enlightened suggested that we should use a higher frequency to change the behavior. But some people simply cannot use the higher frequency, because a higher frequency required a higher habitual frequency that's already stored in your mind. So that's the reason why for some people who are depressed, is usually if they take the wrong actions in relationships, drinking, gambling, and all that, they feel more comfortable. If they use a higher frequency level, they're not just used to that. So that's the reason why some people who are depressed, they think about committing suicide, going bad, enjoying themselves, because that is a lower frequency. But some people said, I want to change it, I want to go chanting, I want to have meditation, I have a higher frequency. And one has to go through the training to get used to the depression. But the first step is to live with it silently. So whenever you have family members or your friends who are depressed, you don't need to tell him that let go, let go, let go. He cannot let go. You just live with it. It will go away. Live with it, and it will slowly befriend with it. It's just a feeling. It's not going to take your life away. You're not going to die of it. You're not going to go to the asylum. It's just a feeling. But if you let that feeling subside, then if you train yourself living with it, let that feeling subside, it will come back again. It needs a lot of training to accept it. Once you experience this subjective feeling is not effective anymore. In other words, this feeling is absolutely subjective. But you have to live through the subjective experiences to realize it. You have to experience it through. Once you can experience it through, then you get used to it. This thought of anxiety or depression or whatnot is just a thought, it's just a feeling, it has no substance in itself, it's just a conditionality or causality. And you must say, I'm not the thought. I'm not that thought. Neither am I the feeling. It just happened. I'm not that thought. I'm not that feeling. It just happened. Don't identify yourself with that thought. You just contemplate and watch that thought. So, simply put, a thought arises. Be aware of the arising of such thought. Watch the thought with the four contemplations, and then let the thought naturally disappear. How do you watch the thought with contemplations? Well, that would be the topic in our seven ways to awakening. 7 steps to awakening. In the Pali language is Satta Bhujanga. The first one of the 7 is introspection of attention. 念觉知, 观念觉知. In the first method or the first attention is you have to take our attention from what we see, from what we hear, taste, smell, and touch, and focus our attention introspectively and continuously to 4 locations. The body, sensation, chitta, and the thoughts that arise in the mind. We did a lot of training. How do we focus our attention introspectively to the 4 locations? For example, the body. Say that we have a body and we observe the body, we observe our breath, we observe if a certain part of the body is painful, we observe that part of the body, if this is being painful. If we say our thought, our brain is attached to something that sorrowful, we know, my thought is now attached to something sorrowful. You act as if you're a third person looking at that thought. You observe how the body feels. Now I feel unhappy. This is an unhappy feeling. I am not that thought, but that's just a feeling. The chitta, observing the emotional state, that thought is changing. That thought is impermanent. That thought is because of certain conditions that give rise to that thought. And that thought has no essence in itself. That thought is not me. That thought is not a self. You have to analyze every thought. That applies not only to the emotional feeling, for example, that is already inherent in you, for depression, fear, worry. This introspection also applies to the present attachment of your senses to externalities. For example, your eyes, your senses, your eyes. Your eyes look at the opposite sex, for example. Then it arouses impurity in your mind. You are contemplating, for example, on sexual misconduct. a thought of impurity comes up, it affects your body. It affects your body hormone. All of a sudden you have this stimulation in you that you feel uncomfortable. You don't think that that feeling is comfortable. That is an uncomfortable feeling. And you want to find outlet for that uncomfortable feeling. But that feeling is a feeling of discomfort. Then what do you do when a thought of sexual impurity comes up? That thought comes up, what do you do? Some people indulge in that thought continuously by furthering certain actions. What furtherance of the action, you know? It depends on what kind of relationship he has. He or she try to further that interaction. But if you are doing introspection of attention, what do? If that feeling of sexual appeal comes up, what do? You have the impurity contemplation present in you to analyze it, to investigate it. The impurity investigation and analysis. How do we do it? In observing the body. Then we analyze what kind of thought that comes up in us. That's that thought of attraction, a body attraction. And then you analyze, what is this body attraction? This is just a body. What is this body made up of? This body is made up of flesh and blood. And how come I'm sexually interested in this flesh and blood? And what is behind this flesh and blood? It's a bag of impurities within a body that we think it is clean. It's actually impure. We're actually being attracted to a sack of flesh and blood. But we have been habitually attached to this appeal. That's why we are reincarnating in the world of desires. So we have to build up this impurities thought, impurities contemplation. It's difficult because you've been habitually attaching to sex appeal. It's very difficult to get rid of it. And this is exactly this appeal that leads us to reincarnation. Actually, this kind of appeal could lead to many, many outcomes that may not be amicable, that may be even harmful. Relationships could lead to fatal incidences, jealousy, hatred, greediness. All kinds of things may happen because of this attachment. And some people think this is happy. This is not happiness, this is pleasure. Sensational pleasure is different from happiness. But we consider it as happiness. A sex appeal is considered as happiness. Why is it not happiness? It's just a pleasure. Analyze it. Why is this kind of appeal or this action is not pleasure, is not happiness, but just pleasure? We should do some thinking about it. Don't just listen to what the opinions of the others. Analyze it. Analysis of sensation. What kind of sensation we usually have coming with a thought? It's either pleasurable sensation or unpleasurable sensation or neutral sensation. It's a sensation. It's not you. It's just your sensation. This sensation leads to stimulation of your hormones, which drives you to do what you intend to do. It's a satisfaction of your hormone stimulation. You consider that as happiness. The Buddha said it's not happiness. It's a temporary pleasure that could lead to dire consequences in a lot of cases. Chitta. The chitta is the emotional state of the mind. We have our mind is basically in two parts. One is the mano part, the other is the chitta part. The mano part is more or less the rational thinking. And the chitta part is the emotional thinking. The emotional mind and the more or less rational mind is always at tug of war with each other. And it's sad to say that the emotional mind is always in control. That's the reason why when you're emotional, you cannot control yourself, because your rational mind is always weaker than your emotional mind. That's why you get angry, you get sad, you're overwhelmed by anger, you have anxiety, you have fear. If your rational mind is stronger, then your rational mind will overcome. But that's actually not the case. They're always at tug at war. And when we do a meditation, when we are doing conceptualization, introspection, we're actually training the mano mind to be stronger, so that your mano mind can initially put your emotional mind under control, put the chitta under control. The chitta is not making a decision. It's only the mano that's making a decision. The chitta does not decide. The chitta just expresses emotions. Your emotional mind is not making decisions, but although it's not making a decision, it's always in control. Enlightenment is to change the chitta mind, to enlighten it, to be one with the rational mind, to be at one purity. The second steps to awakening is investigation and interpretation of subjective experiences. When we are doing meditation, it's not just sitting there and relaxing. Your mind at the same time is doing investigation and analysis and interpreting the subjective experiences at the same time. When we do introspection, we begin to understand that emotions come with the way we interpret our subjective experiences. When we do meditation, actually we are interpreting our subjective experiences because we're not at purity yet. We haven't got rid of all our pollutants. If we interpret in the right way, our mind will be calm, and vice versa. If we interpret in the wrong way, our mind will not be calm. For example, if you are meditating in here, and you try to be peaceful and sit quietly, and then all of a sudden three people down the road, the third person down the road is always coughing. She had a cold, is always coughing. You feel annoyed. This guy shouldn't be there. This person should have been there. He's disturbing everybody. All of a sudden, you have that animosity in you. That subjective experience of coughing, of other people coughing, arouse your objection, your emotion of anger, your emotion of disagreement. You're trying to interpret all kinds of subjective experiences. And the guy to my right stinks because he's sweating. He just came back from jogging, and now he's meditating by my side, and I'm not feeling comfortable. So you are interpreting your subjective experiences, and you are in the subjective experiences. You're not away from it. That happens to all the time. 24 hours a day, we are interpreting our subjective experiences with our emotional mind, with chitta. However, if we interpret our subjective experiences with wisdom, we call it prajna or panna, we know the causality of our subjective experiences and would not allow emotions to arise and stay. So in other words, we introspect with wisdom. And where does this wisdom come from? The Buddha's teaching contains the wisdom that allows us to use, to investigate, and to analyze. The Buddha's teaching gives us tools to analyze and investigate so that we can change our subjective experiences with wisdom into non-attachment. With that realization, now the mind is confident. Then slowly, then you know, all this concept, if it is in your mind, then you'll be more objective in working out your mind, in doing your meditation. Meditation is just not sitting there doing nothing and trying to relax, because you are not relaxing. You are interpreting every subjective experiences. You are not relaxing. You think you're relaxing, you're not. If you know all these, your mind is equipped with the tools to be calm and to relax. Then you calm your mind and relax your body. This is all one. Knowing all these things is not in bits and pieces. They all combine together to add to the training, to change our habitual thinking, to carry out this paradigm shift from habitual thinking into wisdom. And it takes practice. It takes a long time. It takes years. It's not just coming on a Saturday morning and then you can achieve a paradigm shift. It's not that easy. Particularly for people who just come once, twice, 3 times. We've been here 40 years. I'm still carrying out my paradigm shift. And you come for a few sessions, you think, I got it. It's not that easy. There are people there who don't even realize that they are having this habitual thinking that got them into trouble. They don't even realize. When they get jealous, they just get jealous. They're angry, they just feel angry. They want to yell, they just yell. They want to commit sexual misconduct, they just do it. In their mind, I'm free to do anything I want, as long as I feel happy. But that happiness, quote unquote, is it happiness? Or it's just simply pleasure? A pleasure that may lead you into tragedy.